Hey everybody, it's Anna and welcome back to my booktube channel. Today's video is probably going to be a bit of a long one because it's my anticipated releases for March of 2020 and there's a whole heck of a lot of books coming out in March 2020. So if you're settling in to watch this now, grab yourself a nice delicious drink, get a snack, get comfy, and we will go ahead and start talking about some books that are coming out. As I spill tea all over my pants. Off to a great start. Awesome. So let's go ahead and begin with some books that are coming out on March 3rd. The first book that I'm looking forward to is These Ghosts Are Family by Maisie Card. I believe that I've seen Jessie from Bow Ties and Books have an arc of this book, and I think that they've been enjoying it. I've seen it on Bookstagram there. But let me tell you what this book is about. I have the blurb on my phone. Stanford Solomon has a shocking 30-year-old secret, and it's about to change the lives of everyone around him. Stanford Solomon is actually Abel Paisley, a man who faked his own death and stole the identity of his best friend. And now, nearing the end of his life, Stanford is about to meet his firstborn daughter, Irene Paisley, a home health aide who has unwittingly shown up for her first day of work to tend the father she thought was dead. The premise of that book sounds absolutely wild. It's also written by a Black author, and as you may know, I am trying to read 30 books by Black authors this year, so I requested it from the library as soon as I saw that it was going to be coming out. And then I have another book that I actually pre-ordered the second that I saw it was being released, and the title is Disfigured on Fairy Tales, Disability, and Making Space by Amanda Leduc. Obviously, the title of that tells you pretty much everything you need to know about what the book is going to be, but that is definitely a book that I know that I want in my collection, and I'm hoping to read it in advance of our new round of the Disability Readathon, which is coming in April. But if I don't get to it before then, I might just read it for that round of the Readathon. And then the last book that we have that I'm anticipating coming out on the 3rd of March is The Midnight Lie by Marie Rutkowski. And this is a YA LGBTQ romantic fantasy novel, and I am super duper excited for it, so I will read you the blurb for that. Where Niram lives, crime abounds, a harsh tribunal rules, and society's pleasures are reserved for the high kith. Life in the ward is grim and punishing. People of her low status are forbidden from sampling sweets or wearing colors. You either follow the rules or pay a tithe and suffer the consequences. Niram keeps her head down and a dangerous secret close to her chest. But then she encounters Sid, a rakish traveler from far away who whispers rumors that the high kith possess magic. Sid tempts Niram to seek that magic for herself. But to do that, Niram must surrender her old life. She must place her trust in this sly stranger who asks above all not to be trusted. This sounds fantastic. It's definitely continuing the late 2019 trend of YA novels with a snake on the cover. This one has this beautiful drawing of a black snake slithering around an inkwell, and there's this gorgeous red rose and everything. Plus it's a queer fantasy, so I've definitely got to check that out. All right. Next we have some books that are coming out on March 10th. Yes, I do have all of them on the same page. Awesome. The first of those is A Phoenix First Must Burn, which is, I believe, a young adult fantasy, I think maybe a fairy tale retelling anthology that is going to be all by Black authors. So again, that's part of my interest this year because of my reading challenge and also because I've seen the lineup of authors for that book and it looks really great. Also on March 10th, we have That Can Be Arranged, which is Huda Fahmi's second book coming out. She wrote Yes, I'm Hot in This, The Hilarious Truth About Life in a Hijab, which came out last year, and it was basically her comics that she posts online on Instagram for the first time actually collected into a book, and I believe that this volume is going to focus a lot more on her relationship with Jihad, her husband, and I'm hoping for the return of some familiar beloved characters as well. I really love her style of drawing and the way that she uses it for storytelling. I love the characters that she's created. Definitely going to pick that one up. Okay, then we also have The Only Black Girls in Town by Brandy Colbert coming out on March 10th, and I will go ahead and read you the blurb for that. Beach-loving surfer Alberta has been the only black girl in town for years. Alberta's best friend Laramie is the closest thing she has to a sister, but there are some things even Laramie can't understand. When the bed and breakfast across the street finds new owners, Alberta is ecstatic to learn that the family is Black, and they have a 12-year-old daughter just like her. Alberta is positive she and the new girl, Edie, will be fast friends. But while Alberta loves being a California girl, Edie misses her native Brooklyn and finds it hard to adapt to small-town living. When the girls discover a box of old journals in Edie's attic, they team up to figure out exactly who's behind them and why they got left behind. Soon they discover shocking and painful secrets of the past and learn that nothing is quite what it seems. Okay, so this is Brandy Colbert's middle grade debut. It's also a story about friendship. It's got secret diaries and it's by a Black author, so I definitely have to read this. That sounds amazing. Okay, I think that's everything for March 10th. Let's go ahead and move on to March 17th. Just two things coming out March 17th. The first of those is The Degenerates by J. Albert Mann. This first caught my eye because it is also a book that deals with disability, and I think it's a graphic novel. No, sorry, just a historical novel. I don't believe it's a graphic novel. I don't know why I thought about that. Not sure. So I will go ahead and read you the blurb for this because it sounds great too. The Massachusetts School for the Feeble-Minded is not a happy place. The young women who are already there certainly don't think so. Not Maxine, who is doing everything she can to protect her younger sister Rose in an institution where vicious attendants and bullying older girls treat them as the morons, imbeciles, and idiots the doctors have deemed them to be. Not Alice either, who was left there when her brother couldn't bring himself to support a sister with a club foot. And not London, who has just been dragged there from the best foster situation she's ever had, thanks to one unexpected, life-altering moment. Each girl is determined to change her fate, no matter what it takes. So this is going to be a story that centers disability stories, and I think is also going to tell for a younger audience the stories of the negative history of institutionalization in America, which has been a part of disability history for a really long time, and only within the last 50, 60 years or so has the movement really been able to move away from institutionalization as the only option available for people who are disabled or mentally ill. So I want to say I'm looking forward to reading this book. I know it's probably going to be a very difficult read, but I am actually looking forward to it because I think it's going to be a great story. And then the last book on March 17th that we have coming out is All the Pretty Things by Emily Arsenault. And here's the blurb for that. For Ivy, summer means roller coaster season, spinning cotton candy at the Fabuland amusement park and hanging out with her best friend Morgan. But this summer is different. One morning, Morgan finds a dead body. It's their former classmate and co-worker, Ethan. To make matters worse, Morgan is taken to a hospital psych ward only days later, and she's not saying much, not even to Ivy. The police claim that Ethan simply took a bad fall, but Ivy isn't convinced and realizes it's up to her to get answers. What she finds is unsettling. It's clear that some people aren't being honest about Ethan's last night at Fabuland, including Morgan. And the more secrets Ivy uncovers, the closer she gets to unraveling dark truths that will change her life forever. So this is a YA thriller, very much not the type of book that I usually read. However, I think I put this on my list because I read somewhere that it was queer. So publishers, take note, this is literally all it takes to get those of us with some disposable income and library cards to read your books. If you tell us that it's queer, we'll give you our money. Just let us know, okay? All right, so that's it for March 17th. Now we are up to March 24th. The first book that's coming out on March 24th that I'm looking forward to is We Were Promised Spotlights by Lindsay Sproul. Okay, so this is described as a fusion of the miseducation of Cameron Post and Everything Leads to You. It takes place in the late 90s, and it follows this girl named Taylor, who is kind of a small town, stereotypical, popular girl. She's a cheerleader. Everyone thinks that her life is perfect and she's going to, be with the football player, homecoming king and stuff like that. But what nobody knows about her is that she is secretly madly in love with her best friend, who is a girl. Again, obviously very here for queer young adult stories. All right, then also coming out March 24th, we have Lakewood by Megan Giddings. This is a science fiction novel that's also by a Black author that, let's see, I will read you the blurb because this sounds really good. When Lena Johnson's beloved grandmother dies and the full extent of the family debt is revealed, the Black millennial drops out of college to support her family and takes a job in the mysterious and remote town of Lakewood, Michigan. On paper, her new job is too good to be true. High-paying, no out-of-pocket medical expenses, a free place to live. All Lena has to do is participate in a secret program and lie to her friends and family about the research being done in Lakewood. An eye drop that makes brown eyes blue, a medication that could be a cure for dementia, golden pills promised to make all bad thoughts go away. The discoveries made in Lakewood, Lena is told, will change the world, but the consequences for the subjects involved could be devastating. As the truths of the program reveal themselves, Lena learns how much she's willing to sacrifice for the sake of her family. So this sounds a lot to me like the nonfiction true story, The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks. So I know that like this book is in particular science fictional. Hi, puppy. So I know that while this book is fictional, I'm sure that it is actually going to draw a lot from like American history, specifically Black history, and the way in which Black people's like medical data and such were used for research without their consent and without them receiving any type of compensation. Obviously, like this is a genre that's really interesting to me, and I think this is going to be a really great story. Okay, we also have The Empress of Salt and Fortune by Nguyen Vo. This I actually already pre-ordered because it was a novella and it was like $2 for Kindle, but basically it is like by an Asian author, a story about it's a fantasy story by an Asian author. It sounded really cool. I believe that I was recommended it because of my like Uncanny magazine obsession. So every time I purchase one of those, I get those Amazon recommendations that are like, if you liked this, try that. And so I do try that, actually. That's exactly what I'm going to do. All right, let's go ahead and wrap this up with some books that are coming out on March 31st. The first of those that I am anticipating is Days of Distraction by Alexandra Chang. The plan is to leave. As for how, when, to where, and even why, she doesn't know yet. So begins a journey for the 24-year-old narrator of Days of Distraction. As a staff writer at a prestigious tech publication, she reports on the achievements of smug Silicon Valley billionaires and startup bros while her own request for a raise gets bumped from manager to manager. And when her longtime boyfriend Jay decides to move to a quiet upstate New York town for grad school, she sees an excuse to cut and run. Moving is supposed to be a grand gesture of her commitment to Jay and a way to reshape her sense of self. But in the process, she finds herself facing misgivings about her role in an interracial relationship. Captivated by the stories of her ancestors and other Asian Americans in history, she must confront a question at the core of her identity. What does it mean to exist in a society that does not notice or understand you? So this sounds like a great coming-of-age story. It is definitely giving me major vibes of books like Department of Speculation or Chemistry by Wei-Ki Wang, which I read when it came out, or a couple years after it came out, I suppose, and I really loved. I am definitely all here for people in their mid-20s trying to figure out what the heck is going on with their life because, hello, that's also where I'm at right now. And it's like weirdly comforting to read that I'm not the only person that is kind of just struggling with something like that. So I'm definitely going to pick that up when it comes out. And then the last book that is coming out on the 31st of March I'm looking forward to is What Stars Are Made Of by Sarah Allen. So this is another book that features disability representation. It's a middle grade book and the protagonist has Turner syndrome, which I believe is some kind of like genetic or congenital condition that can cause different like disabilities. So I will go ahead and read you the blurb for that. 12-year-old Libby Monroe is great at science, being optimistic and talking to her famous, accomplished friends. Okay, maybe that last one is only in her head. She's not great at playing piano, sitting still, or figuring out how to say the right thing at the right time in real life. Libby was born with Turner syndrome, and that makes some things hard, but she has lots of people who love her, and that makes her pretty lucky. When her big sister Nani tells her she's pregnant, Libby is thrilled but worried. Nani and her husband are in a financial black hole, and Libby knows that babies aren't always born healthy, so she strikes a deal with the universe. She'll enter a contest with a project about Cecilia Payne, the first person to discover what stars are made of. If she wins the grand prize and gives all the money to Nani's family, then the baby will be perfect. Does she have what it takes to care for the sister that has always cared for her? And what will it take for the universe to notice? I'm also really interested in reading this book because, like her protagonist, the author Sarah Allen shares the diagnosis of Turner syndrome, and I absolutely think that we need more books that are by disabled authors, especially for kids and young adults. I mean, for everyone really, but especially for kids and young adults, because that age is just super crucial to see someone like yourself represented in fiction. And those are all of the books that are coming out this March that I am looking forward to. Whew. I'm really glad that I got through all of those before the battery in my camera ran out, because I didn't think that was going to happen. So yeah, let me know if any of these books are things that you're interested in or looking forward to. I really appreciated everybody's enthusiasm for the February releases video that I released, so I think I'm gonna just keep going on doing this for all of the months left in the year. I definitely have full slates all the way through June. And then the latter half of the year, I'm sure will pick up as more and more releases and covers and stuff like that get announced. Excuse me. So, if you like this video and you would like to see more of what I do, please do go ahead and subscribe to my channel, because that is the best way to get notified every time I post a new video. As always, thank you all so very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.